There's something inside of us that is so powerful, that is so beautiful, that is so ancient, it is so precious, that there are organizations in the world today, and there always have been, societies in the past, that will go to any length to shield us from that part of ourselves, because that's where we find our power.
Wow. A 5-time New York Times bestselling author.
Gregg is one of the world's leading spiritual teachers.
Gregg Braden.
Gregg Braden, my friends. This man is utterly...
There's a concerted movement to veil us from our own divinity, because when we are no longer connected with our divinity, we are more vulnerable to fear. He said by the year 2030, when we talk to someone on the street, we will no longer be talking to a pure human. We will be talking to someone who has either embraced or been mandated to have some kind of technology accepted into their bodies. So by 2030, we will be speaking to human hybrids. By the year 2045, he says we will have achieved what he just wrote his most recent book about, something called the singularity. The singularity is essentially the internet of all things, where we have become a digital representation of ourselves in this internet of all things, along with the world around us. All of our natural resources, every form of wildlife, all the food we eat, the energy we consume, everything will be in this massive database run by artificial intelligence that is already being built, it's already underway. So I wrote a book called Pure Human, and I wrote this book to advocate for our humanness, to celebrate and maybe awaken a deeper sense of pride for what it means to be human, and a deeper appreciation for our humanness. So it's a long answer to a short question.
Sure.
But I wanted to kind of lay that out as we start this conversation.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are watching or listening, they want to figure out how to go from a place in their life that they're unhappy or unfulfilled with,
Sure.
to actualizing their potential, their dreams, their desires, but they don't know how to go from where they are currently to manifesting or creating that reality, that untapped reality in the future. And they don't know how to draw it to themselves faster. How do I bring this idea into the world and make it happen?
I'm with those people. You know, just off camera, just now, we just had a conversation. I don't talk about it a lot because it's not often relevant, and I'm not ashamed to share. I'm the product of a very dysfunctional, abusive, alcoholic family. I was born in the 1950s. And the idea of abuse and addiction and counseling and therapy were very different in the 50s and 60s than they are today.
It was not accepted then as much, right?
Well,
looked down upon.
It was as there was a stigma.
Something's wrong with you if you need this.
There was a stigma attached to it. And to complicate it even more, I was born in a rural community in northern Missouri, which is, for our international viewers, it's right in the middle of this big, beautiful country we live in. So I was raised in an environment where the abuser will typically belittle and criticize those around them to elevate their sense of worth. And fortunately, I was born with a very strong soul compass. I didn't believe what I was being told. I have a younger brother, 4 years younger, same household, same experience, you know, listening to the same things, and he's a good man, and I love my younger brother, and we're like night and day. If you were in this room, we don't look alike, we certainly don't think alike.
Wow.
And unfortunately, he believed everything that he heard, and has chosen to be defined in his life by that criticism. And I can't say consciously when I made the decision, but I remember thinking I will not be defined by my father's idea of who I am, because I was blessed, as again, with a strong soul compass. I'm not saying I did it all right. You know, for me in the 50s and 60s, music was my outlet. And I began playing guitar at 8, play it to this day. I'm a musician when I'm not doing what I'm doing right now. And I left our home at the age of 14, which now I think is probably illegal, but I moved in with my rock band. And during that time, the drugs were abundant, and I watched beautiful, talented men and women. We had a female vocalist. I saw their lives destroyed in a matter of months through the chemicals that they put into their bodies. And, Lewis, I didn't know then, obviously, what I know now, but I always had a sense that there's something about us that is so rare and so beautiful that we need to honor and respect this gift of the body. And I had a sense I would need this body for something later in life. And my friends didn't think that way. So it was hard to have these conversations.
Sure.
But I was always looking to see what it is within me. How can I be the best version of myself? How can I serve this world? When I leave this world, I don't know how long I'm here. We never do. I feel good, and I think I'm here for a while. But the day that I leave, when I look back, I want to know that I left no stone unturned, and that I gave to and loved this world to the best of my ability, knowing what I know. And I do. I love this world and the people of this world. We're going through a tough time right now, man. It's a tough time. It's not just America. It's everybody in the world. And what I want our viewers to know is it's not going to last forever. And it's not random. It's not spontaneous. There's a structure. We are moving rapidly toward the close of a cycle.
And what's that cycle?
There are cycles within cycles. There are cosmological cycles that shift our planet. There are geologic cycles that I studied as a degree geologist. There are financial cycles. There are economic cycles. There are conflict and war cycles. And many people don't know that the conflict and war are actually driven by natural rhythms. They're the magnetic fields of the sun influence the earth. They influence our heart rate variability. They influence our sleep patterns. They influence blood pressure, all those things. So they're all converging now. And they appear to be converging around the year 2030.
Really? Why is that?
Well, this is, okay. This is, I don't know how deep you want to go.
Go as deep as you want.
So to have that conversation, we need to tread on territory that many of my peers are not comfortable talking about. And I'm happy to do that. And I want to do it in a really good and a responsible way. The year 2030, for example, the United Nations has identified 2030 as the year they want to remake society and remake the world through what are called the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The World Economic Forum has identified 2030 as the target date for their vision of what they want the world to look like.
What is that vision for the World Economic Forum versus the UN?
It's the same vision. This is a very concerning relationship. So now we're covering a lot of ground. Let's just back up. WEF, World Economic Forum, independent, non-elected individuals. They started meeting in 1971, Davos, Switzerland. We all hear about the meetings every year that, for a week, you get little tidbits.
The billionaires? Yeah.
Yeah, you get little they're CEOs of corporations, they're politicians, they're kings, they're queens, they're leaders of nations in many cases. And they've always met to have their conversations about what they feel, what these elites feel that our lives and our world should look like. And they have every right to do that, no problem. Until 2019. Now, the United Nations has had a series of programs beginning, they started there was UN SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG for the year 2000. Their 15-year plan that expired in 15, and now they're looking at another 15 years, which expires in 2030. They put together 17 Sustainable Development Goals that on the outside, Lewis, are beautiful goals. And when you look at these, if you go to the computer and go to the website, they are a list of 17 things. Who wouldn't want these in the world?
What are a couple of them?
For example,
not all 17, but
food security. Who doesn't want food security?
Sure.
Global health for families, global health for children. Who doesn't want those things? Now, you read the fine print of how they plan to achieve those goals, and it is horrendous. It is a remaking of social structure of family and society, social engineering to a degree we've never seen in our world before, and leading to a world of centralized power and control. So I'll just give you an example. Food security. everybody wants food security. I'm down with that, 100%. Now you read the fine print. You would think they would want to help small agrarian families in rural areas throughout the world. Their idea of food security is to pump money into the big pharma and the big agriculture